Let's move forward onto the regular surface. So let me kind of turn all this trial stuff off here. I'm going to make a group and note myself to fix this. There we go. And so what I'm going to do a little differently here is take these points and I'm just going to create a patch off of it. And there are other things that you have to do when you're creating a patched surface. This is just one way of generating this surface, and you'll have to kind of trim the edges and clean it up. But patch is kind of cool if you know how to control it, because it's under surface and freeform. But what we're going to have to do is take the list of points and we'll plug it into P. It's going to look really crazy for a bit, but you have to flatten it on the P input. Don't flatten it on the output. And so it creates a smooth shell surface here that we can use. So now I'm going to turn all these other ones off. Okay, so that's my smooth shell surface. What you need to know about the spans and flexibility and the trim. Attempt to trim the result. Let's see if we can get it to trim. But basically those things are just ways of how tightly are you mapping it to each of these points. Because what patch does is it fits the best surface to all the points, which means it won't necessarily touch each and every individual point. You just need to be aware of that. So let me try to trim this. I've never actually used trim for it before. It doesn't want to do it for me. Don't worry about that. Anyway, so we can work off of this surface for now as a datum surface. So to get started, turn your other geometry off so it's really smooth. And we can just go in and start to subdivide it using divide domain squared. So math, domain, divide domain squared. Then we're going to have to also bring in our surface box, which is going to be the easy part. So we'll go to surface, and then, sorry, not in surface. Transform, morph, surface box. So this is going to request the surface to create a box on. That would be this. The domain to create the boxes with. That would be this. And you're also going to have to plug the patch surface into here to create the reference domain. And then create some sliders. 0 to 10 will do fine. Just be aware that the more subdivisions you have, the smoother surface you're going to get. And the last slider you'll need is to determine the height of the box. And I don't know which way is positive here, although I suspect it's going up. But I'll make a slider from negative 10 to 10, just in case. So negative's going down, 10's going up, like that. So in this case, raise the box significantly, but not, not something that's in excess. Something kind of like this. It looks like it's got about the proportions of a slice of bread, something like that. All right, and then what I essentially want to do here is start to create another iteration of what I'm doing on this particular surface. So it's as simple as mapping whatever kind of tiling sequence you want to map into it. So we can do that as an abstract on the side. That's what I'm going to do now. what you should do in the top view is start by generating kind of what your tile size is going to be. And in my case, it's going to be roughly square, or actually these are rectangular. So I'll start off with just a square box like that. And the size doesn't matter, right? Because the way box morph works is it just resizes it to that particular cell or volume. And so what I'm going to do here is start to develop an interesting sort of connection sequence. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a secondary line. Actually, let me get onto a different layer here. So I'm going to draw a line going across here, and I'm going to copy that down a little bit. Not sure how far, maybe just copy 1 or 2 feet, something like that. And I'll do the same on the other side. And I could get really crazy with this, but I'm going to do something very, very simple at first. Okay, so essentially all I'm going to do is grab a control point curve. Actually, let me do something else first. I'm going to draw a line across the midpoint. Then I'm going to move it over 1 foot and then copy another one over 2 feet that way, so that I can draw a profile something like this. Right? You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing or how I'm doing it, but something kind of like this. And then I'm going to mirror it. Don't worry guys, I'm going to give you time to do this. And I'll do another one up here, but I'm going to go from point there to do another point here, point in the middle, point here, back there. I'm just trying to create something right now that has some intrigue to its shape. Don't worry so much about the shape of yours. We'll get there. Line here, line there. You guys could just make simple squares and stuff like that, but extrude, do something like this. Go here, we'll do a fillet surface. Radius will be about half of that. There to there. Oh, well, let me do it. Interesting. Huh. Let me just try something. Now I'm just exploring. Sorry. Probably shouldn't explore like this. There we go. That's what I wanted. You guys do not have to get as crazy as me. I'm just playing. Cool. And then I'll take those and trim. Actually, let me join these. Just a few. So what I'm doing right now is just I'm creating something that is seemingly like super irregular so that you can get a sense of how powerful box morph really is. So if you have like these specific hardware elements like this that you need to morph into your particular form, this is going to be perfect for you. Yeah, I think that'll work. Ooh, I kind of see an error. That's not good. I don't know why there's an error here. What happened there? Alright, well that's not going to work out well for me. But I'll use this. Sorry, I'm getting too crazy here, guys. I'm getting way too crazy. But so I've got this surface, right? So let's imagine that this is like a piece of hardware or something that's supposed to be completely unique for all of my tiles. That just becomes my box morph element. So I'll go back into Grasshopper here, and I will go to where am I? Morph. I'm going to use box morph, and then I'm going to also need bounding box, which is found under surface and primitive bounding box. So I have to reference that in as a brep. You guys remember that part, right? So params brep right here. I'm going to reference this in and then plug that into bounding box. And then box morph is going to ask for the base geometry, which is going to be this brep. And then the reference box, which will be this box. And then it'll ask for the target box, which is going to be your surface box. That'll be this right here. So now back into your perspective view, this is what you get. Turn everything off except for that. This is what we've created. It's not really super applicable right now, actually. I'm not generally a fan of this thing that I've just created. So assuming your tile actually connects at the end, like mine doesn't, that's one way of doing this. But then the simple form is like if you wanted to use the modification method that I did before, it's as simple as, so that's a tile version. Okay, I want you to just understand that one. So let me copy this over real fast, and I'll explode this. And instead of this right here, this line, I'm going to do an arc. So there, to there, to there, hit enter. Pull that up. So I'm going to do a loft between this edge and that edge, which creates this surface, which I can then use as my tile. So I'll reference this in as the brep. And you can see it automatically changed it to this. So what questions do you have? I know that was a little long-winded. I showed you a couple of things. I showed you sort of like a solid volume, and now I'm showing you sort of like a drooping sort of volume. What I want you to be aware of really is that this is essentially just an extremely, extremely valuable kind of tool. All right.